Football. Fantasy. Football. Fantasy. Football. Fantasy. Football. Fantasy.
Every day. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Fullbuddy Cast Fantasy Football Midweek Special. This is the one where we kind of talk about the actual league itself. We may have stories about what's going on and maybe even some fun things that we've picked up, but mostly talking about fantasy football in general, especially as we're heading into the final couple weeks of the regular season. Joined with me, as always, is Craig Bentley.
Hello, everybody.
And Corey Bentley, his brother.
Why, hello.
Now, Corey and Craig and I, we all went to the same high school. In fact, we also worked at the same place growing up, and a few people, one person might still be there. And we also have
Allegedly.
we also have a lot of the same friends in the past and even now. You can always find Craig and his wonderful wife, Carrie, over at Cole Street Brewery and supporting Sean. You can also never find Corey there because he's allergic to wheat beer.
I will make an appearance soon.
He will just show up there and I'll have the water.
I'll have some food. You can get food there.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't done it yet because we're usually recording on Friday nights. Have you guys made it downtown for like the Friday night with they got like the little fires and chairs around and this and that where they close off the block?
I have made it one time. We were down there.
I haven't been down there yet. I drove by. I saw everybody out there and all the cars going through.
What's it like? What's like the mood like?
I think people were having a good time.
What about you though?
Well, I always have a good time.
Yeah,
So-
It doesn't matter where he's at. He brings a good time.
You laugh, but that's true.
That's true. That's true. Did you guys do anything for Halloween? We just got out of Halloween. Anything? Did you guys like dress up or anything? You guys still do that?
I went into the back and turned off all my lights. So
It's like nothing.
yeah, basically.
Right. What did I do? Oh, we went to one of my buddies and we walked around and I got my little 5-year-old with us, Jacqueline, with me and our 4-year-old with Jacqueline, me and Jamie, and someone came up and said, "Hey, that house is going to be kind of scary. That they have a toy that jumps." But we're like, we're gonna see how this one goes. So we went up to it, very dark, end of like the road in this block area. Walk up and you see this like scary, almost like a witch looking thing. What's that thing? What that lady would crawl out of the TV?
The Ring?
Yeah, kind of like the Ring type of chick. She's sitting there, and you have to go up to get candy and knock on the door. Now, my daughter's dressed up as a ladybug, and it's dark out, and she's just like checking things out, like staring right at this lady, sitting there on this little bench on the front porch, and the lady goes, "I told you to stay away." It was automated. It was like and then all of a sudden goes, and like jumped out. Jacqueline screams, runs away, all in tears. The dad comes out and is like, I'm sorry. The son, who's like probably 12, that was probably like super stoked on all this, is like, "I know, I feel bad, Dad." Like he started feeling bad. And so it was fun, but they had full-sized candy bars. So if you're going to scare people but then reward them with that full size,
That's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth
fair
it.
enough.
How were you? Were you scared?
No, but the funny thing is that we would keep coming back to that house because Jacqueline wanted to go see other people get scared. So we were like actually like in this driveway peeking around this guy's car watching, and she just wanted to keep watching kids get scared with this.
Were you yelling like, "They give full-size bars, it's worth it"?
Yeah. So that was fun. That was a good time. Had a little, fire out in someone's parking lot or driveway and had beers and stuff like that. Someone's parking lot.
We just stopped at a random parking lot and set it on fire. The normal what's going on around here.
Dressed as Antifa.
I couldn't tell the difference.
Found a cop car, set it on fire.
No worries, it's a Halloween thing.
Yeah, you probably heard this story. Did you hear the story about the time where I punked a kid back in the day when I was in? Did I tell you this? Where I sat on my front porch out on Kibler Avenue. I'd love to see what this kid's still doing. This is probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But anyway, I dressed up as a scarecrow, and I had a mask, had everything, and I sat down on the front porch. I had a chair, and I held a bowl of candy. And so people would open the gate, and they'd come up, and they'd reach down. If it was a kid, I wouldn't scare them. And the parents would be staring. Oh, I think it might be somebody. It might be somebody, but I wouldn't do it. I just sit there, and then kid would grab it, walk off, and no big deal. Well, I had this what I like to call an Eric Madrid. Now, Eric Madrid, he was my ringleader of our friend group. He was the instigator. He was the one that would have other people do stuff. One time he almost got me and Ryan Hosman ran over because we're in Seattle going to a Mariners game, crossing the street. We're not paying attention. We're sheep. He's the leader. We're at a crosswalk, and he goes to oh guys, we gotta go, and we're not paying attention. Me and Ryan are run out in the middle of the street. Cars are going everywhere. There was no crosswalk. It was not waiting, and he's laughing. We're almost getting hit by cars, and we get back. That's the type of kid that Eric Madrid was. Great guy, still a good friend. I'm in this fantasy football league, 1 of 7. And anyway, this kid though, these 3 kids show up. They're at the end. I can see through my mask, and I can tell the ringleader is like an Eric Madrid. So he tells the other 2 sheep, the Travis and Ryan of the group, said, "Hey, go up there, go get the candy, go get the candy." And they're like, "No, I think that's a guy. No, go get it. No, come on, go get it." And he shoved one of the kids up the stairs, up on my front porch, and I'm like, I'm not gonna scare him. This guy grabs the candy, no big deal. Next kid grabs a candy, no big deal. But this Eric Madrid punk, when he came up there, of course he's going to grab the handful. He goes, and I go, "Ah!" And he ran out the gate. He pretty much pushed the other 2 guys out. They're laughing at him. And I was like, that's what I wanted. It felt so good.
How old do you think that kid is now?
He's probably, it was 11 or 12. He's probably 20.
Old enough to return now and steal your bowl this year?
That's probably what it was.
I bet you he stole it. Case solved.
He probably did. He goes, "That piece of crap." He's probably on the Eating Club discussion board. He sees where I live.
That's that scarecrow guy.
That's that freaking jerk. You know what's funny is I still haven't cashed my my GoFundMe that I created.
I was going to donate 5 cents, but I decided not to.
Well, that's the thing. I had a lot of people say I was going to go in and do 5 cents, but the minimum donation was $5.
Was it? I didn't even go look at it.
If people want to be funny, then they can pay to be funny. But 3 people donated, so I've got $15 in my GoFundMe.
Oh, nice. That's a good sized bowl.
I was hoping that I'd get $1,500 though. I thought that would catch fire. People would be like, "Oh, this is hilarious," and not eating them.
If you promised to buy just one bowl with all $1,500, then they might have done it. Like a crystal, top of the line.
And then that's stolen. And then they're lining up next year to steal it.
Yeah, then put candy in that bowl.
Yeah, you have to put candy in the bowl and spend all the money on it.
Are you on the Eating Club discussion board, Corey?
I finally did join, yeah.
Yeah, good. It is.
I was trying to be an even number. I was going to watch it go up, and then to be a milestone, I was going to hit it for you. But
it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's its own neighborhood right now. It's weird. It's so weird. It's bizarre. All right, enough about me. How about you guys talk about me for a while? What do you guys got?
And we're done.
I got a story that's similar to yours, but I can tell it about our dad. What our dad used to do to wait on people.
Yes.
He so growing up, we both had friend groups, and they would come TP our house or stuff like that. And my dad got to the point where he got tired of it. So one year he had his Christmas lights out, and people were doing stuff, and he was tired of it. So he got a ladder, and he takes it in these bushes, and he sets it out there, and he goes outside just for hours at a time, just sitting in the bushes waiting for somebody to do something, right?
What do you have with him?
No, just him.
Oh,
a bucket to pee in.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, I thought maybe he had his own half dozen eggs, or
a
BB
was just
gun.
him. I don't know what he was going to do, but so nobody comes for. He doesn't catch anybody. Then one year we're out there, and he's doing it again, and I'm up on the roof because we were doing stuff, and he was down there actually not even waiting. We were just out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
And he finally gets somebody. Some kid with a mohawk is walking down the street, yells F you to him and kicks over one of his spotlights.
What?
I've never seen him move faster in my life. And this kid goes booking down our street. He goes booking after this kid, and I go scrambling down the roof to chase him because I'm like, that kid's probably like, I don't know, 15, 16. Like,
how old are you?
I'm probably around that age. It was pretty
Was it
young.
Bobby Martinez? 'Cause I think he's like the only one I know that has ever had a mohawk.
No, he chases this kid all the way down the street, screaming at him. And I finally get to him. We get him back. Like 2 weeks later, he goes into Burger King, and the kid's working there.
Oh.
And he is just pissed and red in the face. And he's like, I want to say it, but I'm like, no, like it's not even worth it at this point. But he had to see him at Burger King right after this kid kicks his light and tells him to F off. He was going to just chase him down and beat him.
Wait. Did you guys order?
Yeah, I was hungry.
Oh. You know he spit in your stuff.
I don't know if the kid knew who he was.
Oh, I'm sure an older guy chasing him down. You remember that?
I'm worried about that with my dad every restaurant we go to because if it's not, if the food's not there in like what 10 minutes,
5 to 10.
5 to 10 minutes, pretty quickly, he's like looking around like, why aren't you guys feeding me?
Okay, time out now. Let me ask you guys that. Okay, patience level. How was he as a dad if he gave you a chore? Like, was it like, this ain't done? Would he be the guy that would be like, oh, yeah, no, Dad, I'm going to do it later. No, you're doing it right now. Like,
yeah.
He was pretty strict.
Yeah. It was military.
I could tell a story now. I don't think he'd be upset with it. But, back in the day, he was out of the military. He was pretty strict and, a Marine. So as we were growing up, what he says you do. And this one day, he was probably having a bad day, and I was mowing the lawn. Okay. Well, my parents used to have a ton of like tables and chairs, umbrellas, and stuff in the middle of this lawn, right? Because they didn't at the time they didn't have concrete. They have concrete stuff now, but they didn't. So when you're mowing, you'd always have to take all the crap, move it, mow it, move it back. And I was tired. I was done with it. So I would be that guy that like would go up to the edge and like mow around it, and then and just keep going. And one day he saw me doing that, and he's like, "You need to move that and do it." I did not, and I put the lawnmower up like I was done. And I remember him going, "You need to get that lawnmower out and get that mowed because I don't want to go to jail." And I'm like, "Yes, sir."
That is a great way of saying something.
You also mowed over my Will Clark bat. Remember?
That's your own fault for leaving it in the grass.
I remember Will Clark too.
Yeah, he mowed.
Was it a wood one?
No, it was metal, but it still ripped like the handle off somehow.
Oh, geez.
I don't know. I think he just laid on it for a little bit.
Did you guys ever get that those like bats that would make the noise when you would swing?
Like the training bats?
Did you order? I got 2 lemongrass beef Marshallese. Sorry. Anyway, you know where it's like it would be like a knock where it sounded like it was a crack of a bat. They basically put like a little ping pong ball that you'd swing and it would pull it out to the edge.
I'm not sure if we ever had one.
Do you know what that made me think of though? Remember those
the
whistle, long things
the whistle
with the funnel
football?
on the top,
Yeah.
and that you swung and it made the noise when you swung it. It had like the funnel on the top. It was basically like a noisemaker.
That's all it was.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
Yeah. The whistle football hurt your fingers.
See, as a dad, but here's the thing: as a dad, it's like it's so hard, and I like to hear what how like old school parents would deal with stuff. Like I remember, like my dad he owned his own cabinet company. It was just him, and he would be down in the barn working. We called it the barn. It was a shop, but it was basically we built a barn that he then moved and made into a shop, so machines and all that. So anyway, me and my brother would be playing. We only had one TV, right? One TV in the living room. We had WCW versus the NWO. And we weren't supposed to have that game. In fact, when my parents found it, they threw it away. And my biggest temptation ever was not the Super Nintendo. It was the N64.
Yeah, that was a good game.
And I spent my own money on it. My parents actually paid me back because they're like, I went and bought this thing, and they told me not to. So I went and bought it anyways because I wanted to play this thing. I play it. My parents find me playing it, and they throw it away. Now we didn't have we're out in Selleck, so it was dump runs like every 3 months. Big old oil drums full of garbage. We'd load up onto a truck, and I remember being there at my at the dump, tossing all these things with my dad. I'm probably like 14 or 15, and I lift off one of the lids, and perfectly centered, sitting there, is this perfectly working video game that I love. Because you could pull like chairs out from underneath the mat. You could, I mean, they had or the ring. They had so much cool stuff.
You could customize everything.
You could customize everything. Yeah, you could even like turn off the blood, turn on the blood.
Yeah.
They'd make a little noise. if like ping, and all of a sudden their forehead's blood. Oh man, it's so good. But I had to throw it away because I knew my dad's eyes were on the back of my head, watching to see what I would do, and I'm like, just bye, old friend. Like, over.
I played that for a week straight. I went and visited Craig when he was at college, when I was a freshman in high school, and they had to go to class, so I'd be in his dorm. We were just chilling. I just played that for like a week straight.
Nonstop. Yeah. Genius. Great game. But yeah, so my parents, they're pretty strict when it came to stuff like that. So when my dad, you could hear the barn door or like the shop door shut, but it gave you like a 15 seconds. Even if he sprinted, he wouldn't be there in like 5 or 7 seconds. So give you enough time to turn off stuff, change the radio station, everything. Me and my brother just listen to it. And now it's like, hear the barn door shut, boom, shut everything down, get the books out. Oh yeah. Oh.
It's like you were watching Skinamax or something. Quick, I heard the door.
Dude, you remember that? We shouldn't even talk about that. But
Skinamax?
The scrambled channels and all that.
Yeah.
You just like kind of bat your eyes really fast and like shake your head. It's like, I think I saw something.
At one point, it was public access. You remember that at your house?
Dude. Podcasts are the new public access. That's all. Yeah.
We'd have a group of guys and be like, do you want to see what's on public access right now? Oh, it's Ishtar. Remember Ishtar?
It was a dude.
It was like a camel puppet thing.
Yeah.
A guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then they had these two dudes that were hilarious. They were always inappropriate. It would be like a podcast, but then they would always have at like this randomly at night, like on like a Saturday, it would be this lady who was not overweight.
Are you talking about the giant lady?
Yeah.
Remember the Gauge at your house? Turn that on?
She'd be, and she was
the one that was like,
yes,
yeah,
completely nude,
yeah,
and almost like in front of a green screen, and behind her would be like she'd be dancing to like music.
It was like psychedelic.
It was so psychedelic.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, and we would, and as a teenage boy, even that you weren't into. Like you're like, I can't look away from whatever this is.
I forget what it was called, but it got turned on one time while these guys were around, and we were like, "What is going on right now?
What is going on?" Yeah. So I can't wait for you guys to tell your dad, "Hey, we talked about you on this podcast. Skip the 17-minute section where we're talking about Skinamax and stuff, public access."
I'm sure they probably knew.
See, I don't know. One time, now we're just talking. This is like garage night.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell a story.
Sure.
One of my friends, won't say the name, Brandon. Give the first, no last name. Brandon, but I think you guys know who Brandon is. Yeah. We all worked with him. Not Batraw, the other Brandon, who got me the job, actually, at Safeway. Anyway, he one day gave me this, like, this porn mag. And I'm like, at the time, thank you. And
score.
And so anyway, I get it and I forget about it. I actually put it. I've got it tucked with my Sports Illustrated for Kids and and like my Beckett's and like my Slam magazines, and it's like wedged in there somewhere. And it's anyway. I go away for like a few weeks, and this is like I'm like 18 at this time. Like I probably had this thing for like 2 or 3 years, and maybe honestly only looked at it like 2 or 3 times. Wasn't the most exciting one in the world, and so
A lot of articles.
yeah.
It was that first week. You really got into it.
Yeah. After that, it was never
Like,
mind.
it was boring. And so anyway, Corey wanted to say something so bad. He's still contemplating it.
I'm good.
He's good. He knows now Dad's gonna listen. But anyway, I went away for this camp, and I come back, completely forgot about this again. Years, right? And so I'm sitting there. I remember playing video games, living room, because that's where we had them. And my mom is like washing dishes, and it's like an awkward like pause where I'm like, why is it? It just seems weird. It seems forced. And as a kid with the parent, you kind of have that intuition where something's off. Anyway, she's like, so Travis, did you notice I cleaned your room? I'm like, yeah, honestly, yeah, thank you. Yeah, everything was clean. It was great. Thank you. I thought you'd enjoy that coming back from camp, and now you got a nice organized room, and I even organized your shelves, like your magazines and your baseball cards and this and that and your magazines. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, awesome. She goes, well, when I was organizing a stack of magazines, I found something. And I'm like playing video games like, oh yeah? What was it? And she's like, not the most appropriate of magazines to find for a mother. And I'm like, and I again completely forgot about this. I'm like, what the heck is she talking about? Like, I'm like, I don't really, oh no. But then I didn't really care too, because I'm like, oh, I got that like 2 or 3 years ago, and I completely forgot about it.
I'm done with it.
Yeah, I've moved on.
Yes. Anyway, I thought, and she goes, but that actually relieved her. She's like, oh, okay. Oh, I'm glad we had this talk. I'm like,
Good.
yeah, yep, it's good.
It's too easy nowadays. Can you imagine giving a kid a magazine? He'd be like, what is this?
Yeah, what do I do with this?
What is this supposed to be?
I don't know. I got a million stories about all that. I got a million stories. Cadillac. When I had a gray Cadillac. We could talk about this down the road. Maybe we'll just do but that was I would feel guilty. Do you guys ever get that guilt? Maybe not.
Depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you would have it. You'd have it for like, maybe you bought like a magazine. I would buy these magazines back in the day. This old
I did not participate in that.
weird. Yeah, Dad's listening.
I think Dad. Never mind. I distinctly remember finding something that I think he gave you.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Carrie's listening.
We were like teenagers. It's not like it matters.
Yeah.
It was like a card that he had gotten.
Like a Vegas card?
It was like it looked like a birthday card, but it was just like a naked chick on it.
Oh,
And then I think he gave it to you, but then I was young enough to know you had it,
that's true.
so I knew where it was.
Like you open it up and
Yeah.
top came off that deal.
Yeah.
But it's a card. I mean,
Come on. It's a
got it
card.
at a store. Come on, it can't be that bad.
But I was pretty young. I was excited. I'm like, what is this?
What is this?
And I know where it is.
Well, I felt guilty, and I would buy these things, and I'd feel guilty buying these things once I was done with them. And then
The guilt came later.
and I'd be driving my way to Safeway. Long
You were
30.
guilty in the car?
Oh, well, no. No.
On the way. I was already done with the magazine in the car on the way to Safeway.
Long drive to Selleck. No, it would be like a couple days, but then I would drive and I get into this like secluded area between my home and Safeway.
This is magazine time.
No. This is where I would toss it out the window.
You would just throw them
I would just hunk them out the window. And after a while, I think I even told this story to somebody. It might have been Eric Madrid. And he's like, man, I bet you the neighborhood kids around there, they see that freaking gray Cadillac coming. They're just lined up in the bushes.
They're just running. It's Friday. The Cadillac's coming.
The The window's going down, guys. This is our chance. It's like freaking Santa tossing out freaking presents.
That's funny that you bought him and then threw him out your window. That's awesome.
Well, I was living at my house, my parents, so I'm not going to throw them away there. They're going to find it. And because it gets picked, it doesn't get picked up. I have to go to the dump. I found a Nintendo 64 game. It's like they're gonna find it.
Just one barrel full of magazines to go to the trash.
Honey, I don't remember this being so darn heavy. That's mine. I'll throw it away.
Yeah, don't open it. I don't think I've ever seen this many magazines.
Oh man, we're off the rails. Speaking of fantasies. We should talk about fantasy football.
Good segue.
Yeah. So when it comes to heading into the end of the season, like right now, I'm sitting at 3-5 in a couple games. I should have freaking won. I benched DK Metcalf, and I started him for Donovan Peoples versus Jones, who got like 0.8. DK
maybe you shouldn't have listened to yourself.
You listened to the wrong podcast that told you to start him.
I was
over DK Metcalf.
I was so mad. All I could and even so I was playing. You guys hear about my uncle who's the YouTube's phenomenon?
Yeah, the dad. How do I?
I changed my team name to DK. How didn't I? And then everyone else changed their name to like Peoples Jones and stuff like that. Like they knew immediately that I was the biggest. They probably were all even forgot. Oh, who's got DK? Oh, just on his bench. Who the heck did they start? Yeah, Donovan Peoples Jones. Stupid. But yeah, so I don't even know. Are you looking towards? Oh yeah, if you're 3-5 and this and that, like, what do you do at this point?
Well, 3-5 is kind of tough depending on how close. I mean, if you got the top two, or let's say 7-1, 6-2, and then the next two are high up there too, then that makes a difference. But I mean, if you're a game out of fourth place, I mean, you're still playing like you normally would,
right?
I think in ours it's a little bit harder because we trade draft picks. So now we're making decisions on what we want to do with draft picks. So
this 2-week window is going to be tough.
I made the decision, so I'm right in the middle. Like in our one league, it's one on the bottom, one on the top, and then everybody else is just kind of jammed in the middle.
Yeah.
But I still traded away like 3 or 4 guys for picks next year just because of my gut of how some stuff was going, right? So if you have your gut feeling that you're riding a hot streak, then if you can trade draft picks, trade away draft picks for guys, like build your team going into it. Right. I had the opposite feeling, so I traded a bunch of picks to get picks next year.
Right.
And then I'm starting my team still with, the hope that I can squeak in, but it just depends on where you're sitting and what your gut feeling is, what you got going.
Yeah, so we actually have the same record.
Which is
4-4 in the league that he's talking about. And I was on that same what do I do type deal. I did not do a complete sell-off, or not complete sell-off, but I didn't trade a lot of players away like Corey did, even though we're the same record. I did make a trade for next season, made my team worse right now, but I'm not willing to trade any more right now until I see how this week goes. But yeah, it's tough if you're sitting in the middle, especially if you are in a league where you can try to better yourself for next season. It's a tough choice to what you gotta do, and you gotta do like Corey says. You gotta look at your team. I actually look to see who I play the rest of the season. I look at their teams, and in my head I go, how many more games should I win if I play these players, right? And I take that into account when I do stuff.
That's a good call. That is a great call.
Trading picks changes a lot of it. If you're not trading picks, then it's an easier decision.
Well, do you want to trade with with teams that you're possibly going to go up with next? Like, I think that is. Are you looking to better them, or are you looking to kind of I might trade not with these next 3 guys?
For me, it depends on a couple things. The history of our league, there's certain people who have won a certain amount of times. So I'll look at that and be like, do I want to trade them, or do I offer Because if I get what I want, I'm going to trade the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the first offer might go to somebody who has less of a championship history in the league than another person. Because I don't want, somebody already has 4 to have 5, and now I'm way behind. You know what I mean?
Right.
That goes into the thought process. And then it also goes in the process of so I traded Tyreek Hill. I traded him away for a 2nd-round pick next year to somebody,
Wow.
right?
What,
If it would have been
Wow.
somebody else, I would have made him pay a 1st-round pick because they have Mahomes. So when I trade people, I look at their roster, and if they really want them, I'll put the price higher for that person.
so that
because
person
of it.
has Mahomes and Tyreek now?
No,
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
trade it because
Oh, okay.
I would have
Wanted
charged
a
him with
first,
1, and then the other guy gave me the 2 I wanted.
Do you get anybody that is just we have the scoffers, the trade scoffers. We got the people that want to trade every 5 minutes. I have a couple of those guys dealing, wheeling, dealing. But then we have the people that are oh, it's just every time someone, I read the Art of the Trade Deal by Donald Trump's fantasy football guru, and he said that if someone's offering you a trade, it's probably because they're the ones getting the better deal out of it. So I reject all offers. What do you do to that?
I think there's a mix. So the guys we've been together long enough that you kind of know how each one trades.
Right.
There's guys that I know that I'll instantly give them my best offer of what I want to do, and we don't really have to negotiate that much.
No haggling.
because
this isn't Pawn
because we
Stars
know
where
each
you're
other.
over there just I don't know.
And he knows that I'm not trying to screw him. We've been playing for a long time. There's other guys that
they think
you have to finagle. So I'll give you an offer, but I expect a counter.
Right.
I know you're going to counter. I'm not expecting you just to accept this offer right now. We're going to land somewhere in the middle.
So you're going to probably offer a better deal for yourself to them
To start.
because you know they're
because
gonna,
I know they're going to lower it.
Right.
So a lot of it, if you're trading, you have to know the people in your league. It's like playing poker. You're playing the people. If you know how they trade and you know what you can offer and what you can't offer, and you know how their season's going, if you get a vibe, if they made another trade and you can tell that they're going all in on something, you can ask for a little bit more because you know that they're in it right now. So you just have to know your people.
about you.
No, I 100% agree. Especially, like I said, in our particular group, you get to a point where you know exactly what that person's going to do. Me, I lowball everybody and make them counter back. Right?
Yeah.
And people know that, obviously, because they'll see a trade coming from me.
I'm okay.
And it's not, I don't ridiculous. It's not like I'm give me Patrick Mahomes for a 10th round pick.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not ridiculous, but
just enough to.
but the value
Put
is
a
maybe
7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but the value for me is, and like I said, I've been trading long enough. People know I'll send something where, let's say I'm willing to give a second. I may send it as a third, hoping they'll counter back with a second. I'll be like, okay, done. But there's no way I'm gonna do it first. You know what I mean? So it's about playing the person, knowing what's going on.
So because, like you're saying, playing the person,
Yeah.
your league sounds pretty in depth, and it seems like everyone wants to be in it. Now, do you ever have the negative Ned who's like, I don't even know why I friggin' play. It's all luck. Why do I even do this thing every year?
We've had somebody drop out that just stopped really being into football and watching football 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was kind of like that. The last 2 years, it was kind of like, I just not even watching. So that person wasn't as involved in trades,
Right?
And that's kind of what you want. I mean, like we said, you want the brotherhood and people involved in it. So if they feel that way, you kind of let them
and
vent out.
I think we talked about this on a previous one, but in our league, if you make a trade, you're invested next season
for the draft picks.
for the draft picks. So if we make a trade involving anything to do with the following year,
You're in.
You're in.
Your
Even
money.
if you decide to leave, your money's still in.
Oh.
Right? So people are invested in it because they're not going to go make a trade for a draft pick unless they plan on coming
Staying
back.
Yeah,
Exactly.
staying. So we had these people that were in our league for a bit. They're not in it anymore. And I think there's a lot of leagues out there that might have 1 or 2 people that become disinterested in it. They're the guys that maybe you had a bag to hey, we need a couple more guys to make, the 11th and 12th or maybe the 10th, however people you have in your league. And so they're just doing it because you asked them so many years ago. And the other rest of the league, though, can get frustrated with these guys because they don't come to the drafts, or they don't do this. They don't trade. They might set their lineup and they may grab a player here and there. They're just not invested in it. So what we did is we almost implemented a point system because I started getting a backlog of people that wanted to be in this league. Yet these other guys were in it longer, and I'd give them the option. Do you want to stay? Yeah, we'll stay. All right, well, here we go. If you come to a draft, you get 5 points. I put it out there for everybody. You get 5 points for coming to a draft. You get a point for picking somebody off the waiver wire. And we would just, and if your point ever dips below like 40 for the entire year, you're out. Mm-hmm. And so and that was the thing that kind of helped people to realize, okay, you go to the draft, you're getting 5 points right off the bat. Like that was a huge thing to get people to start coming to drafts and this and that. Your league doesn't sound like it has any problems with that.
It's required to be in the league. You have to be in person at the draft. So if somebody, like we had somebody move to California, I think, right? And was given the option. If you want to fly up here to be in the draft, you can be in the league. If not, then you can't be in the league anymore. You have to be in person with the guys to be in the league. Because the goal is to have the most amount of people in the league here to hang out during the season as well. Like we have events during the season, which we've kind of gone away from a little bit, but
especially this year, it's been kind of
especially this year. But you want to have 4 or 5 events during the season where you're watching games
Sunday
together
football,
and trying to
Monday
do
night
stuff.
Football, something like that,
so you want to have the bulk of your people that in that serious league together to do it. So we implemented just rules to kind of force the hand. Now, we've had instances where somebody came to me like a week before and say, hey, this came up. I really can't do this, but I'll do this instead. And one person sent his wife and drafted for him when we allowed that the 1 year because he was already paid. And he ended up winning that year, so obviously she did better than he did. But
good job, Katie.
Yeah, good job, Katie. But we allow it within the circumstance, but for the most part, there's set boundaries and rules. The draft is set up a year in advance.
Right.
I give you the date a year in advance.
Do you have the end of the year party time set up already?
We tried doing one, and then I think the last 3 or 4 years we just haven't been able to get enough people together.
So you need 8 people together. Do you need everyone or no one?
No, we still do stuff in the season. Like there'd be times there'd be 4 or 5 of us. We just go do something and hang out. I think at one point the goal was to kind of have a Super Bowl party, and it'd be at the end of the year party, but it just never ended up turning in. Everybody was doing their separate things.
It starts our league functions, I guess you want to call it. It starts because, and it was funny. We even did it this year, it was weird, but it was kind of cool. There was 6 or 7 of us. We watched the draft together. Yeah. And we all did it this was right when COVID first hit. Right. Everybody was in their house, not even going out. We actually watched the draft together on Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to call Inslee. Yeah. So you're on Zoom.
And it was one of those things. It was new for everybody. It was kind of cool. Yeah. But we would like, I'm the one that set up these Zoom meetings, 40 minutes, they end. And be like, hey, everybody, I got another one set up for the next, you'd have to get it out and then get back in. And we'd sit and watch the draft together and BS. That was fun. Yeah. I would never do it again, but it was fun.
But I think that if
you needed that at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
At least half the league and a lot of things. And then, like we talked about, like the garage nights that we do. And a lot of times we're hanging out. That's the group of friends we're hanging out with.
Right.
So a lot of times there's 5 or 6 guys, if we go play cornhole in his backyard, it's half the league already there. Right. So you're talking shit or you're doing trades or you're doing stuff. When we were at softball tournaments, half the league was on the team. We would be trading in the middle of tournaments for draft picks and stuff on paper plates in the middle of a parking lot.
You'd sign the paper plate.
So those core guys are doing things together anyway, and it just becomes part of what the league is because you're always talking, you're always thinking about it.
So do you ever feel the temptation from the outside leagues? Because you guys, I think what I like about what you guys have, and same thing with, let's just talk about this podcast, right? Or podcasting in general. Maybe you own a business, maybe even your home, I don't know. But you see stuff and you like stuff and you want to incorporate stuff. Or you may have other friends that are part of other leagues. But if you just shut out the outside noise in a sense and go, what do we want our own little country our own little league to be, you can have so much fun with that. And you just stop with the stress of like, oh, doesn't sound like we're as fun as this, or that's a cool idea. But if you just go, okay, because what I would love, we get so focused on, I would love to trade and not have to feel like I'm going to the trade analyzer. Like, just, it sounds so refreshing to sit there on a bench playing softball and on paper plates. Like, you're not like researching, texting other people, and for the most part saying, oh, this guy's offering me this and this. Should I do that? Should I do this? Let me look at this 8th trade analyzer I found on the web. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys, players, are changing hands so much, it doesn't even matter.
So there's been a lot of trades over the years. I think that's one of the cool thing is, so there's a running joke in our league, and I'm sure every league thinks their league is the best league.
Right.
But there's a running joke in our league because we play in another league, and a lot of guys have other leagues. But the joke is none of those other leagues mattered. We're not talking about those other leagues when we're doing these things.
Right.
If we start talking about Craig's league, and it's most of the guys from my league,
Right.
it's why you talking about that league? That league doesn't matter. This league matters. It becomes cool because everybody focuses in. But we listen to things.
So that's actually our team. That's been the league that matters is the league. Yeah. This has been our league name for like 8 years. The league that matters.
Right. So, one thing, our name, Bentley's Casino, came from his house.
Right.
Where it started.
Playing poker.
He had a plaque on his wall. I got him. I
still do.
How many years ago?
Still hangs up.
That was hanging up there. And when we started it, we looked up and we're like, that's the name. That's how we got the name.
Wow.
But we take ideas from other leagues. So, like,
is that where Madden Casino came from?
Yeah. Like the bidding thing we talked about in the other podcast, right? Yeah. So we take all these ideas. We're pretty traditional. We don't change a lot over the years. Like we just told you, we just had a flex after 14 years,
right?
But we'll take those ideas and we'll vote on them within the confines of the 10 guys of what we want to do. We try to keep it mostly the same, but we still look at outside stuff and realize that, other people are doing things differently, and that might work better for us eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that our league is one, like you said, that keeps a kind of a narrow path on. That being said, most of us are in other leagues.
Right.
And it allows us to do, stuff like this where we can talk about stuff. Because,
right.
We're on here talking a lot about our league and you talk about your league and stuff. But we can go outside and talk about other leagues as long as we're not together watching a game where we can't talk about their leagues. But it allows you to talk with a whole bunch of other people because, you're doing things in different areas. So that's where I think Corey's right. We talk about other stuff outside of our league. We're not just, we're only going to talk about our league and we're not going to talk about anything else. But we tend to, when we're together and our league has been, we're not focused on what other people are doing.
Right.
I think for you, you're probably the same way I am too. I know you do more leagues than I do now, but I enjoy being in a league that I'm not commissioner of. I just like having another league that I'm not running.
Yeah.
It's a little different than what I have to do over here, and it's more enjoyable for me. It's just a team. I just got to run it. So I like having that as well.
So I'm going to expound a little further on that. I'm in so many leagues. The one that I'm 8-0 in that I enjoy, it's 16 people. I only know one person. And it's so nice not to be on a text thread. It's so nice just to be the guy that probably I know everyone's like, this asshole. Like he's an idiot. He's winning all the time. I'm playing Aaron Rodgers this week, so I'm probably going to lose. But it's so nice to just not have to engage and just ride my high horse. There's other leagues that I'm in where I'm the main guy. There's other leagues that I'm in where I'm kind of the mid-pack guy. And I'm not talking standings. I'm like, with knowing people and this and that. But I'm in like 2 where I barely know anyone, and I have probably the most fun in those leagues because I don't have to deal with anything. Yeah, it's not even friendships.
It's like playing the old Yahoo Fantasy Public Leagues where you just join random people.
Or Sporting News. I love Sporting News baseball back in the day. Real quick, just because I've got to talk about it. I'm not talking past years. I'm talking this year. Who is a guy that you've had on your team at some point, and he's healthy, can't be injured, that you dropped or traded that you never want back on your team for this year? Like, gun to head, you're like, I will quit. No, I'm not going to quit the league, but I'll give you mine while you guys think about yours. I drafted Evan Ingram in so many leagues. And every week he is projected to be like 10 or 12, and he's pulling in 4s and 5s. He is the most frustrating person to start in the world for me. Second to that would probably be James Conner a little bit. James Conner's he's very streaky. And then Amari Cooper for sure. But yeah, Evan Ingram, I dropped him. I never want him on my team again. Never. Not even if he becomes the best tight end 5 years from now. Never. Do you guys have yours?
So I think this year it was kind of weird for me because I don't like the Patriots. I never draft Patriots. This year I decided, hey, I'm going to take Edelman. At that point I needed a decent receiver, right? And yeah, that worked out not at all. And knowing that I don't like the Patriots anyway, and he's probably never going to be a good receiver again,
right? He
will never be on my team again.
You're done with him.
I'm done.
Done with Edelman.
Step one of any draft: don't draft Patriots.
Yeah, actually, it's unless it's the defense.
You did have the defense last year.
I did last year. They held me last year.
Was insane last year. Who's your guy?
So I have a long-term one in this year. So this year,
okay, I like that,
is Kenyon Drake. He was the most frustrating guy on my team. I took him in the second round because I thought he was just going to be a bust or be amazing, and he just busted out.
I was so mad when he wasn't a bust.
I'm so mad he's good. No, I traded him. No, my trade backfired anyway because I traded Drake and Terry McLaurin for George Kittle, who's now out 8 weeks. So it backfired in my face, but I still don't want Drake back because it's so up and down, and Edmonds is there taking carries that I was just done with it. On my long-term bust, who I hate and will never, ever have on my team, is Mason Crosby because he's a little bitch.
Why would you ever put him on your team? Wait, not the kicker?
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking of Mason Rudolph. I'm like,
no,
because he took a helmet to the head from
Mason Crosby and Alshon Jeffrey, right?
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey as well.
Really?
Make that 2. Alshon Jeffrey, if he doesn't play again, I'm cool with that because he cost me a championship.
Oh, did he?
And Mason Crosby was on my team, was doing amazing, and all of a sudden, come playoff time, decided to shit the bed and never kick a field goal during that season. This was years ago. I think he's like 58 years old anyway. And didn't do anything, and I will never... He's on my bus to go over a cliff.
I see anger in your eyes.
I'm just remembering everything back in my head right now.
All right, we got to talk about this then. Who's your loved one, most loved one for me that you wouldn't think? Like, oh, yeah, I love Adrian Peterson. Okay, yeah, probably. He probably was good for you for a while. Jeremy Maclin. I loved Jeremy Maclin because even though he was just on the radar, he would just score just enough to get me my wins. And I think it was the Eagles, right?
Yes.
And he would play a lot of Sunday Night Football. There was a couple years where Sunday Night Football just loved having Michael Vick and the Eagles on.
They still do. Love having the Eagles on.
Yeah. And so you would be like sitting there like, all right, I got Maclin tonight. What's Maclin going to do? And he would usually play well.
I'll go that same thing. I mean, pretty sure the year I won a championship, I had Vic and the Eagles. So I mean, that was a good
all around year for you.
All around. So I'll go that.
Let's see. I remember. I'll go way back on one of them.
Yeah.
One of the first years I ever played fantasy football, I did Yahoo Public League, so it was fun.
Right.
It was you're learning play, and I drafted a bunch of Panthers for some reason, but I won the league with Steve Berline, Musid Muhammad, and Patrick Jeffers. And if you know who Patrick Jeffers is, congratulations. You're amazing at fantasy football. I had all 3 of them, and I won that public league that year with that team.
So I'm kind of into the whole triple feature, double triple feature.
If you can get it to work, it works.
I had Lamar. He's lamer now, but Lamar Jackson last year with Mark Ingram, and it was awesome. And then
Patrick Jeffers was a receiver. I loaded 2 receivers on Carolina with him. I didn't even have. I had Steven Davis on the Redskins that year. That's how old this was. Steven Davis was on the Redskins.
You know, all I picture right now is just the biggest shoulder pads you've ever seen. People running around with them.
Christian Okoye.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's the triple feature right now. I have DK and
It can
Russell.
work because the year I won the championship in our league,
What year was that?
The first year.
it was the very first year in
2003.
2005.
2005.
Yeah, what year is it now? 15 years?
Wow.
I had Carson Palmer, Rudy Johnson,
Your championship could almost drive.
it could, and Chad Johnson. It was the Bengals trio that led me to a championship.
Ocho Cinco?
Yeah, and
Well-
then that's the year Palmer blew his knee out in the playoffs.
That's what. Wow. That's a long time
That was
ago.
a long time ago. That's why I'm so frustrated. So I'm traded my team away for next year because it's so frustrating to watch it go down in flames.
Some of those guys are considered legends now.
Yeah. I even bought a Palmer jersey. You remember that?
Yes.
I kept him as my keeper that year. Won a championship. Got a keeper. I had an extra second round pick because I even traded picks back then. I was on fire.
And it was just your downfall.
15 years later.
Still biting you in the ass. Well, right on. Everyone, thanks for listening. We're going to get... Well, actually, Craig wanted to say... I can see Craig. No? Okay. You guys get it? We're at that 50-minute mark. You guys cool?
Man, we'll talk all night, so you want to cut us off?
Well,
We're done.
I got dinner. I got dinner to get to.
Like
Just
you
like
haven't
last
passed.
time.
Yeah, like you haven't passed out before and talked for 2 hours.
Yeah, on my anniversary. Which I thought my wife was upset. She was not upset. She just wanted to know what the plan was. Like, what's the plan?
Well, you did have that Vegas trip coming right after it, so there was like
That's true.
something coming.
Well, yeah, that's true. We talked. No, we did talk about that. Maybe we didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, you about your suite.
You know, it'd be fun. Is that sports book that's opening up? And it's called. It's Arca. No, what's the? They had the grand opening while we were there. It's the first, like, from the ground up casino built in Las Vegas in like a decade or two, and it is all sports book, largest sports book you could ever have. They have stadium seating. Did we talk about this at all?
Not the sports book.
I'm telling you, even at the pool that they have, the amount of TVs they have, looks like they said it would be like a regular sports book, but you're in a pool. But this thing is like, if you want a seat, you have a seat. You'll be able to watch the games. I think next year, I've done this before in Vegas. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but you get a little early. You spend your entire Sunday just making bets, eating, drinking, and watching all the NFL, like every game. It is, if you haven't done it, that is definitely a bucket list item. You've got to do it. I know that Muckleshoots they're building a sports book too, though, and so that maybe we could go do that one year.
I think that'd be fun. Have you guys? I know we're getting to that time.
Yeah.
But have you guys ever did a live draft somewhere else besides here in town, or like traveled to do any kind of live draft?
I mean, we've done it in like on Lake Taps with friends, like they have
But
a nice
nothing
house.
like going
No.
to Vegas and
No,
doing it.
no, but that'd be fun. But no,
We had talked about doing something like that maybe for our 20th.
dude, drugs are legal in Oregon. We could just.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done a draft on drugs? I don't see Shannon Sharp. Where's he at? I'm trying to draft him.
He's on your team now. That's where he's at,
I'm trying.
along with his brother Sterling.
You can draft old players not in the league.
You can.
Well, Craig tried to one year because technically Jerry Rice was on the practice squad of the Broncos, and he drafted him that year. He didn't make the team.
I thought it was going to be
Jerry Rice?
Yeah.
Really?
I thought I was going to be a genius and didn't work out.
This year I picked up when Carson went down and somebody else went down. I immediately grabbed Marshawn Lynch off the waivers just in case. A little premature.
Yeah.
And then I heard that Arian Foster was meeting with a few teams, and I grabbed him off of the.
What was he meeting for? To talk about how he has no hamstrings?
Aryan Nation coming back?
No way. He would tear a hamstring quicker than I do, and I have horrible hamstrings.
Oh man, Well, everyone, thanks for listening. But
Again.
yeah, we should do it. We should definitely do an out. Maybe we'll do that next year. Huge Vegas trip.
Everybody's invited.
Yeah. Hey, if you're listening,
Everybody's leagues. We'll all just meet up down there. We'll do like 3 separate drafts at
One
once.
big draft party with betting and scotch.
yes, you guys got to pay for it though. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. Send us your questions. It was fun answering. What's his name? Who forgot me? I'll forget him. Jared.
Tony gave us some
Skeletor.
questions too. Give him a
Signani gave us some questions too. That was mad. Shout out to him too. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Shout out to Mariano Rivero.
Oh, Mariano Rivero. And hey, I'm glad that you like sidekicks.
Yeah. I'll think of another recommendation for the next one, and I'll give you another movie to watch.
All right. You might want to check the forests out in Selleck. That's another recommendation. you might find some vintage magazines.
Yes.
Are you telling us you still go dump magazines there?
I think he just did. And I don't even, do they still sell those in stores? You got to buy those online now, don't you?
My Amazon is always on. Yeah, I'm getting a package.
Maybe he's just advanced and he drives the Cadillac down there with his laptop open so they can just watch it.
Toss my laptop out the window.
Just look at this, guys.
Glad I told that story. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Take care.